put to death in Rome and all of that. All of that's going on at the same time. No, Christ let us know and said out of his own mouth, before all this stuff that I just said gonna happen, y'all gonna be took out the way first, and they gonna persecute y'all first. This stuff gonna come after that. So all of this stuff was happening after, and started getting more tantamount after the destruction of Jerusalem. That's why in the year 90-something, John is thrown on the island of Patmos, because they was killing. Nero was taking disciples of them from cities in Europe and was throwing them the lions in the Roman Colosseums and stuff. So the last days have not been fulfilled. We are still in the last days of the age of sin. Now, brother, we gonna go ahead and move on, and let us go to Daniel chapter 2. Daniel 2. Because Christ is the one speaking of these things. His apostles were taught by him, and they're just relating to the new converts in the different countries where they have started synagogues, the things Christ taught them, as well as what they have from the prophets. Daniel 2, start at verse 27. This is Daniel explaining to Nebuchadnezzar his dream that he had. Daniel 2:27.
Daniel answered in the presence of the king and said, the secret which the king hath demanded cannot the wise men, the astrologers, the magicians, and the soothsayers show unto the king. But there is a God in heaven that revealeth secrets and maketh known to the king Nebuchadnezzar what shall be in the latter days.
What's going to be what?
In the latter days.
So the dream you had, King Nebuchadnezzar, Daniel telling him, now this is about 500 years before Jesus.
Right.
He's trying to let you know what's going to happen in the latter days. Now, as we read what the prophets consider the latter days and the last days, how are you going to try to tell me the apostles taught anything that was contradictory against what the prophets said?
They wouldn't be apostles.
Because isn't it built upon the foundation of the prophets and apostles, and let every man be careful how he build thereon? Some try to lay stubble, wood, straw. You better be careful. Guys out here throwing this stubble doctrine on top of this foundation that the apostles and the prophets have set. Go ahead.
What shall be in the latter days? Thy dream and the visions of thy head upon thy bed are these.
So I'm about to explain to you that God has showed you in a dream what's going to happen in your empire. And he's showing you from you all the way till your empire ends. So even if Jerusalem had its own last days, let's say I agree with that, there's still a last days that Nebuchadnezzar saw that I would say, according to that teaching, is a whole nother last days that is separate from the last days of Jerusalem. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now you got to teach 20 different last days because it's all these different empires in the world. It's just ridiculous. Go ahead. Actually, go ahead and skip down to verse 36.
36.
Uh-huh.
This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art the king of kings, for the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of heaven hath he given into thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold.
Now you had this image, and whether it looked like a statue or whatever, it was a big image. The head was gold. That represented Nebuchadnezzar. His kingdom, his sons after him in the kingdom of Babylon. Babylon, that's what that head of gold represents. Go ahead.
After thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth.
So he's going to have these kingdoms that come after Babylon, and these kingdoms won't be just as strong as Babylon, but yet they're going to rule nothing other than what Nebuchadnezzar already ruled. So that's why it's one image together, because they represent one purpose in the earth. Like one man, like how the body of Christ should be, right. This is the body of the kingdoms of the Gentiles in their succession. Babylon first. The silver part of the statue represented the Medo-Persian Empire. The third inferior kingdom of brass was the Greek Empire. Now he about to come to the fourth part. As he get down, the king looking at this image from the top down in his dream. And Daniel telling him, this is how you saw it. You looked at the head, then you looked at the chest, then you looked at the loins, then you got down to the legs and the feet. This is very important right here. Go ahead.
And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, For as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdue all things. And as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise.
Now, Rome is that kingdom of iron. This is Rome. Go ahead and continue.
And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes.
Now he looking at the feet and the toes.
Part of the potter's clay and part of iron. The kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of it the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with the miry clay.
Now Rome in its days of iron was in its strength and unbreakable. All rulers of Rome came out of the Italian people. In Rome, right there, the great city of Rome, so on and so forth. For hundreds of years, all of their kings, Caesars, their popes, their dukes, their lords, all of them had been of Roman descent in the empire. Something was started to change in Roman history around the time that Jesus came on the scene. You know what that is? Rome started to break up. Rome wasn't in its zenith, in its heyday. It was starting to break into two different kingdoms, and because of the two different kingdoms, them kingdoms against each other, now you got Eastern Rome, Western Rome. And as Eastern Rome fell, the western part stood last and was called the Byzantine Empire. And under the Byzantine kings of Rome, that's when you had them dealing with the barbarians to try and keep their stuff in order. And the barbarians never tried to establish their own kingdoms by their name. The Franks, the Lombards, the Gauls, the Ostrogoths, don't you know that all of their goal was to basically be the rulers of Rome? That's what France, Germany, Poland, all Czechoslovakia, all of them come out of them ancient barbarian tribes. Look at the Lombards and the Gauls. All they did, once they got power, they claimed themselves to be what? Roman emperor. So Rome is still alive. Even though these people come from different places, Rome is still alive. That's why the kingdom was split once he started to get down to the days of the feet and the toes. The legs was iron. But once you get to the time of the feet and the toes, you see it's kind of still iron, but now it's clay. Because the empire is broken. Right? Now, verse 44.
And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever.
And it shall stand forever. Now, brothers and sisters, the reason that I read that is because in the dream, when he concentrated on looking at the feet and the toes, that's when the image got hit on the feet and toes by a stone that came out of nowhere that was cut without hands. Stone came out of nowhere, hit the image in the feet. The image cracked and fell away once it got hit in the feet. That's let you know when the stone coming. If it would have hit it in the head, that stone would have came in the days of Nebuchadnezzar.
Right.
If it would have hit the image in the chest, that means that stone came in the days of Persia. If it would have hit it in the loins, it came in the days of Greece. If it would have hit it in the leg, that came in the days of the Roman strength. But it hit it at the time that it was weak, that the image started to get weak, near the bottom of it. The clay and the iron mixed together, and that stone hit in the days. And in the days of them kings is when God started to establish his kingdom. And we know that that stone represents Jesus Christ. That represents the time of the Messiah coming. And in that time of the Roman Empire, as it started to weaken, he came. And what he established started a movement that till this day scared the heck out of anybody who trying to establish a worldly government. Because if anyone truly walk as a Christian, you are always a threat to the culture and the inventions of man. That is another kingdom. People of your loyalty to somebody else, and it's that loyalty is to God. See, in the days of these kings, the Lord gonna start to establish a kingdom. And then it said, once the statue fell, it started to blow away. And as it started to blow away, this stone grew into an exceeding great mountain. He saw all of this in a dream, and Daniel told him, all this you've seen is what's going to happen in what? The last days. So did all of this happen with Jerusalem?
No, sir.
In 70 AD. What happened to Jerusalem happened in the time of the feet, when the stone hit. It happened in that time. But what about the